Joining me is Haydn here in the studio, and it was last year we were talking when you last did Narropera. Is that right?
Oh, very well pronounced.
This is
Narropera. Narrate and opera. Narropera.
This is something for people who maybe haven't experienced opera before. It's an introduction for a lot of people to it. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
But it's not opera light as such. You do get the full feel of an opera.
Yes, we don't dumb down the material at all, but we have devised this new art form in order to deal with the problems of opera. Opera is difficult because it's perceived as being elitist, and it's perceived as being elitist because it's an enormously complex art form. Just take the forces that you have in an opera. You've got perhaps 100 orchestral players in the pit. You've probably got 120 chorus members on stage. You've got soloists, maybe 10 different soloists on stage. You've got acting, lighting, costumes. You've got the most complex art form of all. You can't get very much focus when you have so many forces to have to coordinate. The more forces you have, the less clarity. And so opera suffers from being not very clear. And many of the public, many potential people who would go to an opera stay away because of that complexity, because they think that they won't understand it. And Narropera was invented 4 years ago to deal exactly with that problem, not to do something just very light and insubstantial, but to deal with the meat of the opera, which is the story, after all, to tell it vividly, with great strength, like a story for grown-ups, a children's story for grown-ups, if you like, and taking as much of the musical material as will convey the opera's essence. And that is basically about 9 to 10 arias. Now, they're not all of the same character, and you need a singer who has got the acting skills and the presentational skills to be able to shade the different characteristics of a particular person on stage. And in Dorothy Jansen we have a brilliant storyteller in song. So what we actually do is I tell the story, I narrate the story, and the narration of a complete opera story takes about 90 minutes. And of that 90 minutes, with no interval, of that 90 minutes, half is spoken dialogue and half is sung.
So you're explaining what's going to happen?
Oh, yes. I'm telling the story as if it was a child in bed. And I tell the story and then hand over to the singer, who tells the story further, and then I pick up the story after the aria, and the story is related in word and in song at a tremendously vital tempo, which again is something which opera can't deliver. Opera is a rather slow art form. Yes. Whereas Narropera, because it is flexible, because it's only got forces of 3, we have one violinist who represents the orchestral playing, we have one singer dealing with all the characters, and we have the narration, which is in fact the story in persona.
Right. Now you travelled around the world. We got some pictures of you here in New Zealand last year.
Yes.
You've been on the Isle of Man, of course, we talked last time, and you're back again. Where and when is this going to be happening?
Well, this is happening next week, next Thursday the 25th of May, in the Erin Arts Centre, the wonderful art centre in Port Erin. And that's where we started our Narropera 2 years ago with The Marriage of Figaro at that time. And we would like to hope that we can get the same sort of enthusiastic audience next week.
Does it have enthusiastic?
Oh,
yes. I know. You got absolutely packed out.
Well, yes, the first performance in the Erin Arts Centre was oversold. Wow. And it's got seating for 126, and we had 140. So we are sharing the stage with the public, which was fantastic because of the immediacy of the art form. You can deliver it right into the laps of the people with absolute clarity.
And were there many that hadn't experienced opera before?
Oh, yes. And that's the wonderful thing. I mean, half the audience in each of our performances has never been to an opera before. And that's what the art form is. I mean, we level the playing field between the fan, the opera fan, who's knowledgeable, and what I call the opera first-timer, who's probably apprehensive rather than anything else. And because the art form delivers things with considerable clarity, those differences between knowledge and apprehension disappear.
You're selling it so well. I'm sure it's going to be a sell. I know there's more about it in the Manx Tales this month, if you've got that through Letterboxd, and you can find much more about this in there. But just the idea of this bringing culture to people who probably never even thought they might like opera must be fascinating for you to see, isn't it?
Oh, it's wonderful.
Eyes light up.
I mean, I've spent more than 30 years at the top of the international opera tree, selling artists, singers and conductors to all the great opera houses of the world. And in the course of that business, I saw over 2,000 performances of opera. So I really understand the problems of opera, and I'm still passionate about it. But I'm passionate that those sort of people, those people who haven't got natural access to opera, can actually find the key into opera.
Fantastic. What's this one called? I mean, what are you going to
This one's Così fan tutte. All Women Behave So. It's a very brilliant comedy, a rather misogynistic title, I must say, but I'll leave it to the audience members, male and female, to decide if women do actually behave so.
Okay. Tickets for the Air and Arts Centre, no doubt, this week. Get them online, and I wish you well, and it goes from strength to strength.
Paul, thank you very much, very much.